Trump had a big speech in Nevada, and then he had to go to his probation hearing. So, in New York, you do what's called pre-sentencing. So, after you get convicted, the DA writes their recommendation for sentencing, the defense writes their suggestion or recommendation or whatever, and then you go see a probation officer, and they usually do a quick interview. They ask you about mental health, they ask you about previous criminal things, previous civil offenses, sexual offenses, things like that, right? And they try to determine, are you showing remorse? Are you trying to change? Are you being active? And then they make a recommendation for sentencing to the judge. So Trump had to go to probation, so we're going to cover that real quick here. It's not ultra exciting, but...
This NBC exclusive on the Zoom meeting tomorrow. And how might the Trump team prepare for this probation interview? Because he's kind of busy for the next few hours.
Please welcome the chairman of the...
Right, Alex. He's going to be taking the stage here shortly in Las Vegas. I should note it's going to be more than 100 degrees here today out in the Las Vegas sun. But tomorrow, upon his return to Mar-a-Lago in Florida tonight, NBC News has learned that he will be sitting down over a virtual Zoom session alongside his attorney, Todd Blanche, with a probation officer in New York for a sit-down interview. This is where the probation officer, ahead of his sentencing on July 11th, is able to ask Donald Trump questions about his financial background, his mental state, his affiliation with other convicted criminals, and the extent to which he has any remorse about the actions that led to his conviction.
So I want to get into that real quick. So just cover that. So they're doing that. He's at the Nevada rally thing, which we'll cover here in a second. And it was over 100. And Trump did it in the middle of the day because he had to leave Nevada to go to San Francisco to suck up to all the Silicon Valley billionaires for money. And so he held it in the middle of the day. He was still late. So they had 50 people that got heat stroke and had to be hospitalized from that rally.
Oh my gosh.
It was really...
That's terrible.
Yeah, it was horrible. Anyway, so he's going to the probation thing. So you have to understand, are you associated with anybody with criminal records? Like half his cabinet. Rudy Giuliani, Steve Bannon, what was it, Joe Arpaio, Miller. I mean, you name it. These people have all been, how many people? Most of his attorneys have pled guilty or are being indicted. A lot of the people that are RNC have been indicted. So, do you know any criminals? Yeah, pretty much all my friends. Right? We're all criminals.
Like, the whole gang.
So then he's got to do that. He's got to show...
Our favorite color is orange.
Right, and then they're going to say, okay, is he showing remorse? No, he's been yelling at and blaming the legal system. Oh, and the judge is crooked, and he's been blaming the judge's daughter, and doxing the jury, and all this shit. Trying to, talk shit about the witnesses. And he's still saying he's innocent, and it's all a sham, and it's all Biden's fault, even though it's the state of New York. Biden has nothing to do with it. So not showing any remorse. So, really, this whole thing, I heard that the whole thing was like 30 minutes. It was pretty quick, but I'm just going to read this for you. So this is from the NewYorkCourts.gov. I'll just show you the thing. It's just kind of small writing, so I'll just read it for you. So a judge uses a pre-sentence report to help decide the defendant's punishment for the crime. So I'm going to skip to the second paragraph here. A probation officer, a social worker, or psychologist working for the probation department interviews the defendant and checks the defendant's criminal record. Okay? The probation officer may talk to the crime victim, the arresting officer, and the defendant's family and friends. The pre-sentence report includes a statement about what happened, if the defendant's personal history and criminal record, and a victim impact statement. The report makes recommendations for sentencing. Okay, the pre-sentence report, this is why it's there. It's a chance for the defendant's lawyer to say good things about the defendant, like that the defendant is in a counseling program, which he's not, or has a steady job and takes care of an ailing family member. He's not doing the ailing family member. I don't know about steady job either. The pre-sentence interview is a chance for the defendant to make a good impression and explain why he or she deserves a lighter punishment. So that was his chance. But it's funny because they're going to ask, do you have any sort of sexual crimes or sexual adjudications or anything against you? Oh, yeah, I raped a woman and then defamed her.
Yeah, once upon a time there was this rape situation.
Right, of E.G. and Carol. So that whole thing's just a shit show. I don't know what's going on with that.